Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank this invitation to come here to talk about the exploration of the Centinela district in Chile. Before anything, I wanted to start simply giving a homage to the 33 miners that are still buried in this mine in Chile, in the San Jose mine. These miners represent how mining started in Chile. I want to remind you that they're there and waiting for our assistance. Our company, Antofagasta Minerals, location, mining, context, the Centinela district, geology and mining, what we did for the first time, how this mining started in Chile, how the Centinela district showed up in Chile, the discovery of the Caracoles mine and Mirador mine, and which are the conclusions of all this work. This is a picture to show what Antofagasta Minerals is. This is a company that is manufacturing above 700,000 tons of copper copper in 2011, and this happens because of the startup of the Centinela district with the Esperanza and Esperanza extension. The moly production is also important. In the 80s, we produced 35,000, 40,000 tons. So in 20 years, there has been an extraordinary change. One of the first mine was in Argentina, Chesanco mine. Well, I just want to show you a slide with the main districts in the world. If you look at them, they are all copper porphyries, and the copper porphyries go between 1 to 3 billion tons with grades above 1%. However, these are quite old districts. The modern districts, the districts that are appearing today in the world, such as Radomiro Tomic, consider about 1 billion tons with grades of 1.5. The Centinela district today covers about 4.3 billion tons. So those are the resources of Centinela, with 0.5% in grades and with credits in silver and gold. In terms of the location and mining context of Centinela district, it is a branch of the Domeyko fault that includes Chuquicamata, El Abra, Escondida in the south, also Spence. I don't know if you can see it here. Here we have the main deposits, and this is located in the second region of Chile. This is a belt, northeast belt of 140 kilometers long. The two deposits existing in the district on the north are Mirador, and on the south, Polo Sur. Deposit that was discovered and developed by BHP some years ago and bought by the company. This mining property in gray is the mining property controlled by Antofagasta Minerals. It is a hypogenic mineralization of copper porphyries with credits in gold and or moly. There are copper oxides in the higher zones of the deposits, and there are exotic deposits of copper. After the Exotica, this is one of the most important exotic copper deposits in Chile. In the district, there are sedimentary sequences and Mesocenozoic volcanic outcrops. There are semi-consolidated tertiary gravels that are hosting the exotic in the west of the district, and the faults correspond to the Domeyko faults controlling the porphyry location with 41 and 45 million years of dating. The most important mine in the district is El Tesoro, consuming part of the exotic copper with 91,000 tons of fine copper per year. And Esperanza is under construction with an investment of $2.5 billion and will start up in October 2010. The first knowledge about this district dates back to early 1800s, and this is due to the first exploration for nitrate. They talked about the erratic appearance of copper apart from the Cacoles deposit. The first explorations were in the 60s, corresponded to fragments of leached porphyries within the oxides areas. There were some alterations seen along the telegraph line that went from Antofagasta to Chuquicamata, and there was an alteration zone located, and these were the first zones described. Probably these fragments took the mineralization to Chuqui. The first mining property was claimed, and these properties still exist, in fact. These properties were in hands of small miners. The small property seen in the middle, and Luxich was a small miner at that time. An international exploration company saw a potential here due to porphyries, and the first drill holes were made to the south of the district in the 1960. They were made by ITT in the south of El Tesoro in a project called Centinela that was the most attractive of all. However, it still doesn't have the resources. They are not so spectacular. Between 1969 and 1983, Utah, Chile, in the project that discovered Escondida ultimately. Before finding Escondida, they made explorations, and in fact, Nivaldo participated in this program, searching for the source of the exotic to the east of the zone. They were looking for the source of exotic copper. And between 1984 and 1986, Kennecott drilled a porphyry that was to the south. You can see these triangles there, and that was the Esperanza porphyry. They made drill holes. They saw that there were very low grade, 0.3, and a little bit of gold credit, and they abandoned it. In 1985 and 1986, Northern Mines, that was the company managed by Luxich, drilled in El Tesoro, that was the zone of exotic minerals, and defined 9 million tons of 1.3 to 1.5% copper, and at that time it was relatively good. And in 1990, Anaconda started again the exploration of El Tesoro. Anaconda is a company that was bought by the Luxich group that owned Pelambres, and doubled in a first campaign the exotic resources to 19 million tons at 1.5%. Between 1991 and 1992, Mantos Blancos, that owns the red properties there, explores Esperanza, where Kennecott had made the drill holes, and detected 19 million tons at 0.55% of copper and 0.3 grams per ton of gold, and Telegrafo 35 million tons at 0.35% copper. In 1993, they made a swap of the property, and Anaconda, that today is Antofagasta Minerals, negotiates the properties of Mantos Blancos Blancos and consolidates for the first time the Centinela district. The Minera Ray Rock explores the zones to the south and north of El Tesoro with programs until 1997 associated with Mount Isa, BHP, and the Equatoria, finishing that work without relevant results. Between 1990 and 1993, the exploration in Anaconda and Leonor establishes that in El Tesoro there are resources of 220 million tons of 0.77% copper, and in 2001 a joint venture was created between two companies building the first relevant mine in the district, Tesoro. And parallel to that, Anaconda continues with the exploration for oxides covering the northeast Tesoro. It's also an exotic deposit with 44 million tons of 0.93% copper, completing a period of a lot of success in explorations for exotic deposits in the district. Between 1999 and 2001, after completing important part of the exploration of the exotic minerals, in late 90s, the company started up El Tesoro mine, and this happens within Antofagasta Minerals simultaneously to Pelambres. So this was an extraordinary effort, in fact. In 1999, again, the exploration started in the concessions to the east, and a model was defined for Esperanza, the deposit that we had inherited from Mantos Blancos, and explores the outcropping oxides and sulfides that are underlaying them. After putting acid solutions to the heaps, the heaps failed at that time, and the idea was to put oxides from Esperanza, mix them, and to produce a skeleton. And that was one of the justification of the campaign in Esperanza that took to have in 2001 the discovery of Esperanza, where the drill holes of the best grades were below and the porphyry was inclined, something that in the first explorations made by Mantos Blancos were not detected. In 1999, 2001, 70 million tons of 0.42% copper oxides were found, and 443 million tons of copper sulfides, plus a little bit of gold and moly. This is a low grade, it's a deep ore, but still is interesting. This becomes the biggest leap in the exploration of the district because it's the basis for the first development in the large mining that today is considering $2.5 billion. In 2001, 2004, we did explorations in the property, and we expanded the resources of the district going to Telégrafo that had 0.35%. We later measured 7 million tons at 0.49% copper plus gold, 0.18 important, and moly at 0.014. In the cross section, you see Esperanza on one side, Telégrafo on the other side, and what we have in the middle is something that, if we consider the movement of large volumes, this can become a single large pit, something that is understudied today. During 2001 and 2004, what we did was to complete the minerals inventory of the prospects that existing, going to the east of the exotic minerals of Tesoro and Tesoro North East. Centinela was drilled again to the north of Polo, and with this we went through all the deposits of the district with explorations. In 2006, we have another relevant milestone in the district. A new consolidation of the district was made with the participation of Equatorial Mining. This corresponds to the properties in red and orange. So we bought about 52,000 hectares, part of which corresponds to the continuity to the north and south of the Centinela district. They had a joint venture with Ray Rock, a Peruvian company. Milpo was the owner with 25%, and in late 2006, AMSA negotiated with Milpo and bought 100% of the rights of the properties of that joint venture. In 2007, in one of those properties, we discovered Caracoles. Caracoles was the result of the collection of all the information we had and the information that had been obtained by Ray Rock and Equatorial. We applied the latest generation geophysical program. It's latest technology from Australia. And we drilled a zone with more than 80 meters of gravel discovered in Caracoles. Caracoles deposit is quite similar to Esperanza. Today it has about 100 million tons of oxides on the surface. Very interesting because that gives a new thrust to the leaching mining of El Tesoro with 1 billion tons of 0.5% copper with 0.25 gold and 0.013% moly. Today it is an infill campaign and it should be in feasibility in mid-2011. And finally in 2008, we reviewed the north zone of the district where the rocks that contain the porphyries are sedimentary rocks with less possibilities of dissemination than andesitic rocks. However, we started with a geophysical program again. This allowed to review a zone where there were old drill holes from Utah, and the Mirador project was found. 100% of the district is covered, so the possibilities existing are very interesting for the district. Between 2008 and 2009, additional campaigns were made to add 30 million tons of oxides from the Mirador project. The Mirador project has a grade of 0.8% copper with an hypogenic deposit with grades of more than 1% in some sectors, very similar to the rest of the porphyries that are under development today. So, as a summary, it is interesting to see what this district has become in 20 years, because in early 60s there were 4 point explorations only. This district had formal resources in 1985 of 1.9 million tons at 1.5% copper. Today it considers 640 million tons of oxides at 0.56% copper and sulfides at 4.3 billion tons at 0.46% copper plus gold and moly. Esperanza will be started up in October, and this will allow us to have a large mining district, and this is the future of mining, and this is the biggest challenge of Antofagasta Minerals. This is a slide that shows the options of growth in sulfides, and these are only options. It is only options, I must say. Esperanza and Telégrafo can produce during the next 5 years about 200,000 tons of fine copper to reach 400,000 tons with a potential expansion. Caracoles could be a standalone project or part of a new expansion. And finally, until 2036, this district can produce almost 500,000 tons of fine copper with further explorations. We are very optimistic with this district, and the final word has not been said yet. It will continue working for 40-50 years. We have to verify what exists below the elevation 1,000, similar to Resolution in United States, where the potential mining is seen below that elevation. Some statements that are relevant for us in this previous experience in the development of this district, where the conviction and hard work of the team of explorations looking for ideas, sometimes failed and again reappeared. It was possible to obtain models that actually responded. Also, the stability conditions that allow long-term plans. Companies are sensitive to important changes, and the large mining requires stability, the development and application and timely application of geological models. They must be considered for these purposes. Large companies have made companies, and small companies, after a good geological modeling, are successful. Systematic and persistent exploration through time. 1 year we lose in explorations is a year that cannot be recovered. The consolidation of mining properties. In order to have synergies in the mining business, it is necessary to gather things without being concerned for having monopolies. The use of state-of-the-art technology. This is extremely important. We must care of what we have. We have to have the latest technology. And finally, we must establish that although we have the best concept and the resources required, but if we don't have a human team, nothing will be achieved. And this is our team, the team that has made these discoveries in Chile. Thank you very much.